Today's guest, Clément Sreeves, is someone who I wanted to have on from day one. Clément was my manager at Luma Analytics, where I used to work, and Clément is still working there today as a data science manager. Clément is one of the most knowledgeable, intelligent, and passionate data scientists I've ever known. So working closely with him just improved me as a data scientist every single day. As much as I look up to his high level of these technical skills, Clément is one of the kindest, most gentle, understanding, and thoughtful people I know. And I look up to that a lot too. And I work hard to have more of those qualities. On top of that, Clément's dedication to climbing, his master ranking in chess, and his overall mindset made him at the top of my guest wish list. Although I have left Luma and I'm loving my new job, I still look back to those days when I was excited to go to work every day. And recording this episode with Clément was much of the same fun. I invited Clément on my podcast to pick his brain on how he keeps up to date with the data world, how he prefers Lichess over chess.com and why, and many other things. I hope you enjoyed this episode, guys. Thank you very much for tuning in, and thank you, Clément, for being on my podcast. If you're listening to this, I know you say you're not going to listen to this, but I hope you're listening to this. I really appreciate your time, and thank you also to your beautiful wife and your beautiful baby for letting me steal a bit of your time from them, especially on the weekend. This is Everything Goes with Pascal podcast, and here's my conversation with Clément Sreeves. Why does the camera look like it's focusing on you, Clément?
Have we started?
We have started, yes sir. You're now on my podcast. Everything Goes with Pascal podcast.
Awesome.
Episode 21, most likely. How are you feeling, Clément?
Yeah, good. No, looking forward to having a chat.
Hey man, no, it's my pleasure, Clément. I've been looking forward to this conversation for a while, and finally to have you on. I've been giddy about this. I mean, I feel like I say this every episode, but I've been giddy about this interview, from when we agreed to do it, when we made a soft commit.
It's been quite a while since we made that soft commit.
We've been making soft commit for a while, because that's it's already like a month ago?
I think more than that.
More than that?
Yeah, we've rearranged it a few times.
We did, yeah. Because that's when I was leaving Luma, right? And I was like, oh, Clément, we should catch up.
Yeah, so it's probably almost 2 months ago that we first discussed
2 months
it.
ago. It's been 3 weeks at my current job, Clément. Can you believe that?
Well, yeah, so maybe even more than 2 months.
3 weeks. By the way, if I'm looking at my phone, I'm definitely distracted. I'm just playing games. It's just my notes on it. So yeah. So do excuse me if I look at my phone.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. So how was your morning? Like with a baby. I feel like every morning will be different. Your routine must have changed.
Definitely changed compared to this time last year. Yeah, so woke up at 6:45, but that was mainly because I forgot to turn my alarm off from yesterday.
So that's your usual wake up hour?
Yeah. So yesterday I woke up early to do a little bit of a workout before going into work.
And was that the climbing workout?
Yes.
It was. So the fingerboard
in the garage, yeah.
Yeah. So hey, how long is your workout usually?
The one I'm doing at the moment's only half an hour long. It's quite short and intense.
Yeah. Do you get like sweaty, or is it like you're tiring on your fingers?
Yeah, tiring in the fingers, tiring in the arms as well, because I do a bunch of pull-ups to failure at the
Damn.
end.
Pull-ups to failure? Well, how many is that? I mean, by that point, you'll already be tired from your workout anyway. But how many can you do, like, usually?
Yeah, so I'm adding weight.
Oh, shit.
So, and I don't know exactly how much weight I'm adding at the moment because I haven't fully sorted out my weights set up.
Okay.
Normally, what you would do is you would get a climbing harness and then attach weight, like, you know, standard weights onto it, so you know exactly how much you're lifting. But I haven't got the weights yet, so I'm just putting a backpack with a bunch of things in it. So it might be 15 kilos added weight. Yeah.
What are you adding in there? Like your laptop, work notes?
It's just my climbing bag. So there's a bunch of metal devices
Yeah.
for climbing and a rope in there as well.
Damn. So with that added on, how many can you do?
11, I think.
11? That's a lot, right? Or is that quite standard for climbers?
Yeah, I think climbers generally can do more pull-ups than
Right.
than someone that's not specifically training that, because you do train those muscles a lot just through regular climbing.
I need to start climbing, Clément. I think when I'm not tired, like, so going in fresh, pre-workout, no weight added on, so just body weight, I probably can do like 7 or 8 to failure. Yeah, so 11 is crazy. After workout, with the weight added on. That's crazy. So I interrupted you there with your daily routine. So wake up at 6:45, go for a bit of half an hour workout.
So that was yesterday. And then yesterday was a bit of a weird day because I worked from home in the morning and then went into the office in the afternoon. But yeah, normally it'll be one of the two, either work from home the whole day or go into the office. And yeah, with Susie, who's 6 months old, it is very dependent on when she wakes up. I normally will see her or play with her a bit in the morning before I go to work, but sometimes she sleeps in. She's not really settled down into a solid routine yet. We were starting to get there, and then her teeth started growing, and that combined with moving into daylight savings. Is it into daylight? Anyway, one way or the other, with the clocks changing, that messed everything up. So
Yeah. Have you heard about daylight savings? Like why that started?
I don't think I know why it started.
Right.
I know that lots of people are now keen to get rid of it, and I think in some countries they might be moving to get rid of it.
True.
In Europe, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can't remember who I had the conversation with, but someone said daylight savings started because of to save power. So like, turning lights on and off. So it's a very outdated concept, someone said. So they said we should stop it, but someone else said, oh, it's because the daylight saving is there so that we can get some sunlight after work, which also makes sense.
But in winter, you get less daylight after work, right?
In winter,
because in winter, basically the sun sets 1 hour earlier than in summer. So it's the opposite in winter. It gets darker earlier.
Yeah.
When they move to daylight savings. I always forget which way is which.
I mean, this whole thing confuses me so much. Clock moving back and forth. I don't know. In theory, very easy thing, right? Very simple thing, but it confuses me so much. Are we losing an hour? Are we gaining an hour? Is the day getting longer? Is it? I don't know. It's a very, very weird thing. Time is.
Yeah, and so it's confusing enough for regular people.
Regular.
But then when you need to write code to deal
My
with daylight savings time,
goodness.
that's when the real fun starts.
I was just about to go there too. How messy is it when we start including timestamp? Is it UTC? Is it New Zealand time? What's the solution for that, Clément? You are an expert data engineer.
There's no good solution. It's going to be the curse of programmers and data engineers till the end of time.
Maybe we should just start using UTC. What do you think about that?
Everywhere. So right now it would be, what time is it now? It's about 11 a.m., right?
It's about 11 a.m.
So we'd be, oh yeah, Pascal, shall we meet up at midnight for the podcast?
Midnight UTC. Or we should start including SI units at the end of time. Like we say, like, how much do you weigh? Oh, I weigh. We don't say I weigh 42. 42 kg, 42 pounds. What's going on here? Oh, what time is it? It's 2 p.m. 2 p.m. New Zealand time, 2 p.m. Korean time, Scottish time. 2 p.m. It's 2 p.m. New Zealand time.
Yeah, but what does New Zealand time mean? Does it mean New Zealand Standard Time, New Zealand Daylight Time, or does it mean Pacific Auckland, which shifts 1 hour when the clocks change?
Wait, is Pacific Auckland different from New Zealand time?
Because so New Zealand has 2 time zones. It's got New Zealand Standard Time and New Zealand. It's NZDT, I guess. New Zealand Daylight Savings Time. Okay. Maybe. But then Pacific Auckland actually tracks like what we consider the time to be with the clocks changing, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
So 4 p.m. Pacific Auckland will sometimes be 4 p.m. Standard Time and sometimes be 4 p.m. Daylight Savings Time, depending on which one Auckland is in at that point in time. It's confusing.
Because Pacific Auckland is what you specify when you want to convert UTC to like the time that you use day to day.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And that could be one of the 2 static time zones that New Zealand uses.
This whole thing's too confusing, Clément. Like, because day to day, I feel like data engineers have to deal. I mean, not just data engineers, but a lot of people outside there have to deal with time, right? Like, what time was this row recorded in? What the last modified date? The stream time. You look at that, it's like I don't know. I feel like it's just a chore. You can't figure it out. You can't figure it out. You can deduce it, But it's a chore to see every time you see a time, you don't know if it's a New Zealand time, New Zealand Standard Time, New Zealand Daylight Saving Time, or UTC. Like that's my gripe over here. We need a better solution, Clément.
I'm a bit worried we've gone in way too technical right at the start of the episode, so everyone's probably already tuned out.
This is everything goes, but everything goes with Pascal level. This is why I strategically named it Everything Goes with Pascal, so I can talk about anything. But I do get some data people on for this audience. I think it's so hard to know. Ironically enough, I don't have the data for my audience, but I know that when I post, because I post my episodes on LinkedIn, and when I post that I have a data guest on, it gets more attractions.
Really?
Funnily enough, not just from my circle, but also from outside my circle as well. So I don't know if it's the impact of data being so relevant these days in so many fields, or I don't know. Maybe I've got the sweet spot in the algorithm somehow. So I don't know what's going on there, but that's what's been happening. Yeah, on the.
I guess a lot of the people that you are connected with on LinkedIn tend to be working in data more than other professions.
For sure.
So,
But
yeah.
on LinkedIn is like such an interesting platform because I feel like LinkedIn is one of those that you get requests from random ass people, and it's better to accept it. and that's the you can't say that about any other platform. Right? You don't have a LinkedIn.
I don't use LinkedIn. No.
Do you have a LinkedIn?
No.
You don't have it. Right.
Yeah, I don't have a solid reason why I don't, but I don't know.
But do you have a solid reason why you should?
No, I don't have a solid reason why I should either, I guess.
Someone said this. I made my LinkedIn when I was looking for my job after uni, and someone said LinkedIn is like Tinder for jobs. I'm like, okay, let me get on this.
In that you get lots of unwarranted requests.
Yeah, and you don't know if it's real or not. But I do get some weird requests. Like since I've doing podcasts, you can make your LinkedIn like more public, basically, so people can follow you and see what you've been up to without being your friends. And since then, I've been getting like just bit like not weird messages. I'm sure it's legit, but kind of half-assed messages saying like, "Hey, I'm a podcast promoter. Like, I can promote your podcast." Yeah, just getting messages like that. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of people, just writing some algorithms to like find a list of 10,000 people to target with this message based on what their LinkedIn profile looks like.
Do some machine learning algorithm for that. You wouldn't even
low quality requests.
Integrate ChatGPT API. Right? They would be so easy. Like with ChatGPT coming in, you can just write promote podcast. I don't know.
Like in order to write a more tailored message to everyone and not make it look like spam.
And this is their LinkedIn profile. Can you write me one?
Yeah.
Copy and paste that. Are you interested in because I know you're into data engineering and you're a hard out data engineer. You've explicitly said you prefer data engineering over other aspects of data, right? And your Spotify playlist is data engineering playlist.
That's a lie.
Quote, the playlist includes bangers like Code Monkey. Close quote. And you're a hard out data engineer, from down to your blood, right? So are you interested in all this hype around AI and NLP and machine learning and stuff?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's super interesting. I can't say that I've gone super deep into it, in terms of understanding exactly how the models work. But in terms of practical usage, I think it's huge. I use it all the time. It's really good for, simple coding questions that normally you might have gone to Stack Overflow for. I can't remember exactly what the method. I know something exists and I can't remember what the method is or what the library is and how to call it. ChatGPT is really good at those sorts of things. It's good at writing boilerplate type code, and it's good at coming up. Something I use it a lot for is coming up with sample data for, if you've written some kind of function to transform your data, ChatGPT come up with a good sample data set to test my function on and make sure it works. I find it really good for that as well.
When was the last time you used Stack Overflow?
Probably yesterday, but
okay.
So yeah, I still Still do reach out for the old Google, but
In what cases do you reach out for Google instead of ChatGPT?
I think it's probably stuff that I should use ChatGPT for as a default, but it's still old habits of, just open up a new tab and search Google rather than, if I don't have ChatGPT open.
So it's just a convenience thing because it's right
It's
there.
it's a convenience and like old habits. But as soon as I realize, okay, this isn't trivially obtainable from Google, I would need to do some digging around, then I'm like, okay, ChatGPT, let's go.
So I think Stack Overflow owners will be thanking you right now. Because I think since ChatGPT came out, the traffic on that must have cut by, I don't know the statistics. I know it's out there. I haven't looked at it. I wouldn't be surprised if it's quarter of what you used to get. What?
Yeah, no, that would be interesting to see.
That would be
I
interesting.
imagine it's taken a big hit.
Are you interested in having a hands-on experience with, like, talking about ChatGPT, NLP, but with other AI and machine learning models in like a big scale?
So I didn't understand the question exactly.
Oh, because day to day you do a lot of data engineering, right?
Yeah.
You like the scripts that you code up is to do with like data engineering as well as like building pipelines and things.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of like hands-on, getting your hands dirty with that, and you've been doing that for a while. Have you thought about whether it's like at your work or in your spare time, like getting your hands dirty with the, like, say, NLP models, kind of creating like a large language model that you modeled?
You mean creating one from scratch?
Yeah.
Uh,
Or even just like, so a lot of people are like leveraging ChatGPT to but in their own context.
I see. So like fine tuning some kind of base model on your own data set. Yeah. I think it's definitely interesting to look. I mean, it's not something that I've directly thought of or started doing, because my understanding of it is that you sort of basically need a GPU to get started with like any kind of training or fine tuning, and they're quite expensive. So I'm sort of not ready to bite the bullet on that one yet. I think I might wait till some tools come out.
Is that something that you're interested in?
Interested in? Yeah, I mean, I think it'll have really good applications. Like, do you mean directly for my day-to-day job, or do you mean as some kind of tool or product that I could build for someone else?
I think maybe more on like a personal side. Like, is that because I went to this data science group meeting, right? That I found on meetup.com. Hey, if you're watching this and if you're in data space, you should check that group out. Really interesting. I go there.
Yeah.
It's 20 people. So I get there a little bit late, right? Like the last one that I went to anyway. Get there a little bit right. I get there. 15 people just sitting around this big table.
Yeah.
All ages. At that time, all men. And each of them, they're taking turns. And that time, the topic happened to be NLP too. Each of them taking turns talking about NLP, and they can talk about anything basically. So, and if you are there, you are just super passionate about like the data science and especially NLP in general anyway. And man, there are some. So again, like all ages, right? I swear some of them even like maybe just at the end of high school.
Yeah.
And man, like they've done some cool shit. And I'm like, and I can tell they're passionate And I think a lot of people there are doing like NLP in their like daily jobs, but some of them are just doing it like just a side thing, just something fun, something that interests them. But as you know, those things take time, right? Just to code up, train models. You come across all these issues, undoubtedly, and then trying to resolve those issues. It takes time, right? Just like climbing, just like playing tennis. So yeah, I was wondering, like, do you think you'll be one of those who would do those kind of things, which is in a lot of ways heavily related to your 9 to 5. I always, I know you do those things like in terms of data engineering outside work, but there's a data science part of that. Does it interest you?
I think in theory, yes. In practice, with a 6-month-old baby, no.
That's rough. That's rough.
Yeah. So, yeah, with the baby, there's very limited time to do all this sort of side projects and coding on the side. Try to do a little bit of it, but yeah, definitely not had time to go down the NLP rabbit hole yet.
Prior to a baby, did you, because I knew you went to like these kind of meetup groups or like online virtual events and things like that.
I've been to a couple of them. I wouldn't say I was a regular member of them. Like during COVID, there's a can't remember if it's New Zealand or Auckland Python user group, and then I went to a couple. Can't remember if they were data science or data engineering meets up as well, but yeah, it was just sort of sporadic. I wasn't a regular member of them.
So in terms of data activity outside work, is it mainly for you kind of keeping up to date through YouTube videos, for example, and because you say you also listen to data engineering podcast?
Yeah, listen to a couple of podcasts.
Okay.
Probably not a huge amount, but the main two. Listen to a little bit of the Analytics Engineering podcast, which is the one hosted by DBT.
Oh wow.
And then there's another one which has kind of died, and there's only 6 episodes of, but those 6 episodes are very good. And that one was hosted by a company called Preset, which you might not have heard of. So there's an open source BI tool called Apache Superset, and Preset is basically sort of the paid hosted version of it. But yeah, the founder of, or the creator of Apache Superset was also the founder of Apache Airflow. I don't know if you've heard of that, but yeah, pretty big tool. And like that guy's super smart. So whenever he's got something to say, I listen. So it's called Max Boschemer.
Okay. And he's got like a 6-episode podcast that he hasn't posted for a while.
Yeah.
Come on, Max Boschemer. What's his name? Max Boschemer.
Yeah, you'll need to tag him in the podcast.
Yeah, what the heck? No, but I heard someone say 90% of podcasts don't make it past, I think 5 or 6 episodes, and 99% of podcasts don't make it past 20 episodes.
Yeah, I can't imagine the amount of time that it takes people like yourself.
Oh, bro.
Editing. Probably editing is the main time sink, right? But then finding guests, lining up guests. How have you done it, Pascal?
Well, I don't share my secret, so like I'll tell you off the camera. No secrets. I think it surprisingly takes a long time. When I first thought of it, I was like, yeah, it's doable. Interview someone. I knew always it was going to be a long form. Interview someone for max 3 hours. Okay. On the weekend, how long do we have? 24 hours. We don't even have to work. So 3 hours doable. And I knew, because my inspiration is like Joe Rogan and Lex Friedman type of podcast, and they do minimal editing. They just edit out the parts that they go to the bathroom or they have like technical difficulties. So I'm like, okay, minimal editing on my part, doable. So I don't know why it takes such a long time, Clément, but honestly, it takes all my free time. Maybe I just procrastinate a lot. I know I do procrastinate a lot. But yeah, surprisingly, it takes a long time.
But no, good on you for getting past that 5-6 episodes where everyone normally gives up. And you said episode 21.
Yes, sir.
We're on.
This is episode 21. So technically, I am in the top 1%, baby. I don't know if I can say top 1%, but in that 1% where people haven't given up. But yeah, it's just like any other things, you know, it's you keep going at it. It's a weird thing, Clément, like, because at first, because, you know, with people, finding guests is like, I knew it was going to be like a main thing that I would need to work on. Like, I would need to invest time on, effort, and things like that. But I'm so happy I made it to 20, and I do have some guests lined up.
Nice.
I'm
nice.
like, damn, maybe I did have friends. Maybe I did have friends. Well, so it's good to have you on because you're one of the people that I wanted to have on. When I first started, I'm like, there are people that I wanted to have on, and you're definitely one of them. So
I'm honored.
My pleasure. And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on was I think I talked about this with you a couple of times. It was on a Friday we were working together. Like I was, you know, we were working in the office together, and I was talking to. It was a Friday afternoon, like maybe like 4:30. Everyone's basically gone home. It was you, me, and one other person, and this other person and me, we're just chilling. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. It's just like if you're doing work, you know, I couldn't even think about work, right? So we were just having drinks and just chatting. And you on the background with your headphones on. and I kind of like peeked at your screen. And what else is on? But like I saw someone like giving a talk. And I was like, Clément, like what are you watching? And it was like a data engineering stuff, right? Like a new tech in data or something. Do you remember that?
I don't remember it.
Well, there you go. To me, because I'm big on YouTube, as in I don't have many subscribers, but I like watching a lot of things. To me, it's just I have to switch off. I have to switch off. So when I saw that, I'm like, this guy loves data engineering.
There's loads of awesome free TikToks on YouTube though. It's such an awesome resource.
Yeah.
People at conferences giving away their knowledge and putting it up on YouTube for everyone to watch afterwards. It's awesome. Definitely learned a lot from YouTube. I do also watch, you know, rubbish on YouTube sometimes.
But when you say rubbish, it's like climbing. I feel like you watch a lot of climbing.
Yeah, climbing. Maybe I watch actual trash on it as well.
Oh, really? Like what?
It's called Beard Meets Food. Have you seen that?
Beard Meets Food.
It's this guy doing all these eating challenges, you know, when there's some gigantic burger or pizza, and it's like you've got to finish it in half an hour or 45 minutes. And then you get your money back and a free t-shirt or something if you can make it. And obviously no one makes it, but then, you know, this guy's speciality is completing these food challenges, but you know, it's just complete trash.
Beard Meets Food guy, eh?
Beard Meets Food.
Hey, shout out Beard Meets Food guy. I don't think you're trash. Beard Meets Food. I mean, you know, to complete that, he must have trained, Clément. You know, it's his passion, obviously, right? When you watch data engineering stuff, he's probably watching like food eating competition stuff. That sounds interesting. Do you like that kind of content, like food content or challenge content kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, just something to pass time. Yeah, not been so much of that since Susie was born.
Yeah. So in terms of the data channels and more something that's you would consider non-trash channels, like is there any channels that you follow that you follow closely at all?
Oh, good question. No, I don't think there's not really any specific channels. It's more, yeah, it's often specific people that I'll follow, people that are quite prolific in the data world, and then when they give talks at various conferences, then I'll listen. But yeah, sometimes I'll just discover something if I'm on another one, and then I see, oh, this this title of that talk looks interesting. Let's check that out and do a bit of discovery of new people. But yeah, I'd say I follow more people than specific channels.
Who are some of the names you follow?
Yeah, so there's a couple. Yeah, there's a couple of on the Python programming side. There's one guy called. Now I'll fail to remember all the names. Can we look it up later and then post it in the show notes or something? Do you have show notes?
Yeah, I do have show notes. Should we look it up now?
Yeah, we could.
Yeah. Because we have like computer ready here. Then this is like the. Well, I'm so excited to do this because this is the first time doing it. So what should I look up? Do I go on YouTube?
Yeah, go on YouTube.
Now you're gonna see.
Okay, I've remembered one of the names now.
Okay.
Raymond Hettinger.
Okay.
So he is one of the Python core maintainers. So in charge of the Python language and core libraries themselves. So he's like one of the core Python developers, and he has some really awesome Python talks available on YouTube.
What does he talk about usually?
Yeah, sometimes it's like a new capability in one of the latest versions of Python, as Python releases, 3.6, 3.10, it's, something new will come along and he'll do a talk about that. But probably the most valuable ones are the ones just talking about, writing good Pythonic code.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the best practice to
best practices and tips and tricks.
Is his like with these people, like talking about him specifically, his background would be like computer science or software engineering?
Yeah, probably computer science, but also practical software engineering. Mix of both.
How does he get paid by Python? Because Python isn't...
That is a good question. I think not. I think not. But then, so my understanding with this specific guy is that then he has his own consultancy. So then he'll go into companies and advise them on how to use Python more effectively.
I wonder, then does it, him giving these talks and him working on these Python releases, is that itself wouldn't bring him any money, right? Do you reckon?
Yeah, I don't quote me on this, but I don't think so. I think it's just purely doing it as a open source sort of volunteer. But I could be wrong. There could be some kind of sponsorship from maybe some big companies are often sponsoring off open source projects, so then they would give money to to pay the developers some kind of salary.
Wonder how, because it kind of reminds me of Wikipedia. I know the creator of Wikipedia, Jimmy Wales, I think his salary is like classified as like zero. Like that's publicly available. And one of the the Wikipedia as a company, the way they earn money or like fund themselves is the crowdsourcing money, right?
Yeah, donations.
Yeah, I wonder how Python does that, because we don't see any donation, like asking for donations on their releases.
Yeah, they might do it.
They might do it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you go on python.org, is there an opportunity to donate? Probably is, but yeah, I imagine it's typically companies that use a lot of Python these big companies like Google, Facebook, they will often give back to some of the open source projects that they heavily rely on.
Well, at least we learned one thing. Clément hasn't looked up how to donate to Python yet. my bro hasn't looked up. Okay, that's interesting. Do you does he? So he talks a lot about like Python stuff. Yeah. What do you there? I feel like there's a lot of computer scientists and software engineers in the field. And I bring that up because me coming from the math stats field, feel a bit left out, but there, I can see why there would be, but yeah, I think it goes to show. I feel like it's saying something, but I don't know what in my head. I don't know how to articulate that.
Yeah. So then someone else that I like who's a bit more on the pure computer science and like AI as well is Peter Norvig.
Okay.
But he's also a very good Python programmer, and so his GitHub repository is also a really good source of learning how to write good Python code. But yeah, his talks are interesting as well. Then there's another guy in the especially machine learning, deep learning space, and yeah, recently large language models is Jeremy Harrod, who's an Australian computer scientist.
Oh yeah,
I guess
we'll skip him then.
But he has a really awesome free course online that gets updated pretty much every year, I believe, called fast.ai.
Have you taken that?
Yeah, I did one of the early iterations of it. I think a lot has changed in 4 or 5 years or so since I did that course. And then there was a machine learning one as well. Yeah, so one which deep learning specific one, and one more like more focused on random forests as opposed to like deep neural networks. So, and yeah, but both of those were really excellent. So yeah, definitely recommend checking that out for a really nice introduction to machine learning, AI. Yeah.
How do you keep up to date with their latest talks and things? Is that just like recommended on your YouTube channel?
Good question. No, so I think normally I just type their name in. If I'm interested in looking for a talk, has this person come out with any talks recently? So it's not a very scientific way of finding them.
Also, you just type their name in the search box.
Yeah, and sort by date. Yeah, genuinely, yeah.
I didn't even know YouTube had a sort by date. Well, that goes to show YouTube can improve on their recommended algorithm. Because if in an ideal world, you just have it all there, and you don't need to search up.
But maybe it is recommending interesting stuff that I should be clicking on, but I'm just so set on, I like these, 3 or 4 people, and
Yeah.
I'm only going to watch something by them.
So those 3 or 4 are the 3 or 4, or do you have more outside that you kind of keep up to date on, but less so?
Yeah, I can provide maybe a list, and we can put it in the show notes.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Because I wonder that, because people are into so many different things. So for example, for me, right, as you can see, my content is like YouTube boxing. Now I'm getting Cozy Fire 4K 11-hour recommendations because
I wonder why.
You play one video and that's all you get. And I get this thing about like YouTube drama and bit about fashion and some gaming and stuff. What does your YouTube recommended look like?
Probably a lot of climbing, to be honest. Yeah, what else would be on there? Yeah, climbing. Maybe occasionally it'll come up with some tech-related thing. Maybe chess as well. Sometimes watch a little bit of chess content on YouTube. Yeah, but I feel like YouTube front page often just does recommend random stuff that is trending on YouTube at that time.
Yeah, for sure.
No matter whether you've watched anything related or not.
I think there probably is some sort of relation somehow, right? Like for example, if for someone who do follow whatever is trending, I feel like you are more likely to get what's trending rather than like the type of the video or something. But sometimes, like, because I run like my own channels which has got very low subscribers, and because of the very low number of views, when I click on my own video sometimes, I watch my own video sometimes, guys. So after that, for like a week after that, sometimes I get just recommended like random someone super random channel, and they got like 10 subscribers and has less than 10 views and things like that. So I think they also have, and their topics are completely unrelated to what I talk about. So I think they also have some sort of algorithm to do with that too, like the views and like subscribers. Like they're like, okay, this guy likes to watch, up and coming YouTubers. Okay, throw these at them.
See if they stick.
But they would make sense in terms of their business growth.
Well, one thing I've noticed, and I don't know if you've noticed this as well, but I find on my YouTube, it'll recommend something like normally, pretty random, and then that recommendation will still be there 2 years later. I've always skipped past it, never shown any interest in it, and it's still recommending the same, the specific example I was thinking of, some video from some Japanese singing talent show or something, and it's like the same video, and it's just there, and they never goes away. They keep thinking, oh, maybe he'll click on it one day. I don't know. Have you found that as well?
Absolutely. So some recommendation, like you said, just something so out there, like not definitely in your field, just keeps getting recommended. It's top of your recommendation box, right? But here is my thinking, Clément. I eventually click on them. And I have to say, I find them pretty intriguing. I think because, like we talk about AI and machine learning and stuff, because they have their model going on, right? It's not like a hand-picked by someone else that like, it's like, oh, I think Pascal would like this. So I think there's something to be said about that why you're getting recommended that.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. But sometimes it feels like if you're, maybe that is the top recommendation from the model, and 2 years later it's still the top recommendation from the model. But if I have not shown any interest in it in 2 years, is that maybe the point to to switch up the recommendation? Maybe we should take something further down the list, but something new that he might click on in the next 2 years.
It's either they they forgot to implement some sort of data observability, like a freshness test or something. That maybe it hasn't updated, that you haven't clicked on it for 2 years, maybe failure in pipeline somewhere, or that they're so confident that whether it's 2 years, 5 years, 10 years down the road, even if you click on it by mistake, even when you're just chilling with Susie on your lap and Susie just clicks on it, you watch 1 second of it, oh, you're gonna get hooked. Maybe they're that confident. Maybe the match, the what do you call those? But like your match with the likelihood of you liking that video is maybe it's like 100%.
The other option, which completely baseless, but maybe it's some advertising going on where someone somewhere is paid for this video to be put in front of me, and the deal is that that video is going to be there until I click on it.
So specifically for you. Could be. The YouTube game is super interesting because I feel like the YouTubers are constantly fighting. I don't know if fighting is the right word, but constantly trying to adapt to this black box that is YouTube algorithm, right? Because everyone's trying to get many views. Some videos just go viral out of nowhere after a couple of years. So it's I feel like it's interesting. I almost find that as like a data person, being and also being a YouTuber and podcaster, like it's a fun challenge.
Yeah, because there's companies out there that specialize in purely figuring out the algorithm and helping creators to basically get the best outcome from the algorithm in terms of optimizing your video name and optimizing what the thumbnail looks like, and potentially optimizing how often you put out videos, what the length of your videos are to keep people engaged and get the maximum revenue from it. There's
sure.
Companies that do that, which is
crazy.
Yeah.
I think an individual who does that to the maximum level is Mr. Beast. Have you've heard about him, Clément?
I heard about him, and watched the odd video. I would definitely put that in the trash YouTube bucket.
I think I agree up to some sense, but I think for him, have you listened to his interviews?
No.
His interviews are super interesting because he is obsessed with YouTube, but he's not. It almost feels like he will do. What he goes on and on about is he wants to create the best video possible, and he goes on and on about this. So if you listen to his couple of hours interview that's couple of hours long, he repeats that phrase over and over again, and that to me is inspiring, and that kind of shows me that a lot of things he does on YouTube is it's interesting because I don't know if he likes the type of videos that he makes especially, but he knows that it's a best video it's a best video in the framework of YouTube. And to me, that's like an art, he said he's studied so many videos that's gone viral, like frame to frame, what made it go viral. And like you said, the title, the thumbnail. And he said about the length of the video as well, because if we see it right now, you can see the thumbnail and title, but you can also see the length of the video. So he said these three things have to align, because if it says cozy fireplace 4K 12 hours, okay, even without the 12 hours, if it says cozy fireplace 4K, but it's like 20 seconds long, no one's gonna click on that. Yeah, I mean, I clicked on it because it's like 11 hours long. Which is the length of this podcast.
Oh no.
Especially this episode. I think you say Flora brought like a sleeping bag, right? But yeah, it's cool. And I find people that are into things like that, anything, it seems cool. And I always wonder what makes you, for example, with you, Clément, what makes you like data engineering so much more than some other person? Do you know the answer to that?
No idea.
No idea? But for you, do you think everyone should be into it as much as you are?
Oh, probably not.
What's your favorite part about data engineering?
Favorite part? Tough one. I find it quite satisfying being the one that can grab data from some source system or API and bring that to people and give people the ability to find all the interesting insights from it. I mean I do enjoy doing the insights bit myself as well, but I think as a data engineer you've got the power to open that up to tons of people, which is pretty cool. I like that it's a crossover between software engineering and data, which are two things I'm quite passionate about, and it's sort of the optimal optimal job to combine them, I guess.
Because is your background software engineer?
I wouldn't really say so. But I'm very interested in it. I did a grad scheme in IT, and so did some software engineering and some DevOps work as part of that. But then my uni background was more mathematics and operations research and a bit of data science as well. So wide range of things across data and software.
What made you get into software engineering? Was it for your first job out of uni? In the grad program as the IT grad? Was it with the supermarket not Costco?
Waitrose.
Waitrose? Was it with Waitrose?
Yeah.
They do a grad program like that? I guess they're a huge company, right?
Yeah, so there's the company is the John Lewis Partnership, which if you're from the UK is a household name.
John Lewis.
But if you're from New Zealand, probably never heard of them. So John. And there's two companies under the John Lewis Partnership. One of them is John Lewis, which is a retail store, and the other one is Waitrose, which is a supermarket. And what's interesting with the John Lewis Partnership is it's not a publicly traded company. It's owned by the employees themselves. So the employees are called partners.
Oh, okay.
And every year the profit gets shared out amongst all the partners in the form of an annual bonus.
Damn, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, so it's paid as a percentage of your salary, but back in the day it could be as high as 20%, 25%.
Really?
So really big thing.
Yeah.
And also, very often sort of 10% mark, which is a pretty good bonus. The company's been struggling a little bit in recent years. So I think maybe some year they even didn't pay out a bonus, but yeah, I guess that's the way it goes with.
Did they give you more incentive to work harder at all?
Yeah, I think so. Because there is a certain motivation in knowing that the work you're doing is not just putting money in some shareholder's pocket. So yeah, I think that there is huge value in that.
So you joined John Lewis Partnership as an IT undergrad.
Yes.
What made you? Were you already interested in like software engineering?
Yeah. So yeah, I did maths for undergrad, and then I realized that I was quite interested in this whole coding thing, but didn't know anything about it.
Oh, so you didn't code during your uni?
A little bit, but very, very little. Like a little bit of MATLAB and a little bit of R,
Yeah.
maybe. But it's more. It was more statistics and maybe a little bit of linear algebra type coding, but writing programs specifically to solve maths problems rather than building an app or a product or a website. And was interested to see what that looked like as well. So I went on YouTube and found actually another student recommended to me a course that was on YouTube, and learned Python, and that was the start.
Well, what got you interested in coding?
Good question. I think someone said, "Oh, you'd be good at this," and I thought, that could be cool. I don't know anything about it. Let's start learning. No, actually, I remember now. Before the other student recommended to me to get into Python, I just Googled what's the most common coding language, and Google said C++, and so off I went, started learning C++. But then this other student was like, no, don't do that first. Learn Python. It's going to be much better.
They knew what they're talking about.
Introductory language, and definitely, probably a very, very good decision to not go too deep down the C++ rabbit hole initially.
So there was that's what Google said, the most used language back then.
Yeah,
because I feel like now would be Python, right?
I think it depends what industry you're looking at. In data, 100% it'll be Python, but in stuff like game development, or I think C++ is probably the predominant language. Whereas in web development, it's a lot of JavaScript, and then various other things as well.
What do you think about Scala?
Scala
as I guess as a data engineering tool, but also as outside that as well.
Yeah, so as a data engineering tool, so I've used it. I wouldn't say I'm definitely not an expert on it, in terms of using it as a proper going down the full functional programming paradigm. I think I still haven't quite got my head around that yet, but as one of the languages to call into the Spark API, which is what I've used it for. You're generally not really using many of the Spark specific features, because it's in Spark generally it's calling the data frame specific transformation function. So it looks very similar whether you're writing Scala, the Scala Spark API, or the PySpark API. It's I don't find that much difference between the two. But I do know that one website that I'm a huge fan of, which is Lichess .org, or I think it's .org and not .com, is written in Scala.
Wow.
and it's completely open source. And yeah, that's one of the most, I don't know if you know that I used to play a lot of chess back in the day. I think you do know.
Yeah,
right?
we should get into that after this.
But yeah, there's this really awesome. Most people play on chess.com. But yeah, stay away from it. Lichess is better, and it's free. No need to pay any membership subscriptions. Nothing locked behind any paywall. No adverts. It's open source. Donation based model. It's a registered charity in France where the main developer lives, and that's the place to play chess, watch chess. Go check out lichess.com. I'm not sponsored. It's
You should be.
I should be. It is that awesome.
Yeah, so you like that, you prefer that, because chess.com is like, for the longest time, has been like the household name for chess online, playing chess and watching chess. But would you prefer Lichess?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because it's open source.
Because it's open source, it's free. Everyone has access to exactly the same thing.
You have to pay for chess.com?
To get a premium membership, yeah. So you can get a free membership, of course, on chess.com.
Premium membership. What does that give you? Like a suggested move? Maybe that's what Hans.
I don't even know. I don't use it, Pascal.
True. Yeah. If there was a trick question, if you said, "Oh yeah, to give you this," I'll be like, Lichess, cancel the sponsor.
I actually, the funny thing is, I do have a premium membership on chess.com, but not because I pay for it, because I'm that good at chess.
Oh,
so get it for free.
It's true, right? They give it to certain rank. Is that certain ranks or something?
Yeah, I think you need to be if you're master level or above. Maybe it's not the case anymore, but it was when I did it, and you get a lifetime premium membership.
Lifetime?
Yeah.
So what about if your rank drops? Because if you don't play, your rank drops, right? Or does it not work that way?
So there's two separate things. One of them is a rating, which can go up and down and can drop. But once you've got one of the master titles, so there's three. There's master, international master, and grandmaster, which I think probably most people are familiar with grandmaster as a term.
Magnus or
like
any chess players that you might have heard of.
Yeah, definitely chess players that you've heard of: Magnus Carlsen, Hikaru Nakamura, Hans Niemann. They're all grandmasters. I'm a humble master.
I thought you were international master.
No. I'm not international master.
Okay, so you're master, and you get there. I guess every time you beat someone, you get more points. Is it like a point system?
Yeah. So there's the ELO rating system. So to become just a master, you have to get your ELO rating over a certain number, and then for international master and grandmaster, you also need to get your ELO rating over an even higher number. But then you also need to get some very strong performances in international tournaments.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the bit I'm missing. So I have got my ELO rating over the number required to be an international master. So I've ticked one of the boxes, but I haven't got any of the international tournament performances. But if I get those at any point in my life, then I would become a international master. So I haven't been playing recently, so it's not looking that likely right now.
Well, are you would you be rusty? I guess you'll be rusty. You haven't played for a while, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because is it quite vague like that? Or does it say is there a certain number you have to hit in the international tournament, or are they pretty vague like that? Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3.
Yeah, so the requirement is, the main requirement is that, so it's got to be an international tournament, and then your tournament performance has to be over a specific number.
Right.
So what it means by tournament performance is if it was trying to calculate your ELO rating just from the games from that tournament, it would be, you'd be at that number, and that's
Makes
what
sense.
a tournament performance means.
Damn, so they will probably translate to coming at least like top 10 or something, yeah.
Completely
Depends.
depends on the tournament.
I guess how big
If the
is.
tournament was all grandmasters
Yeah.
plus me, then I could probably come, you know, in definitely in the bottom of the pack, but still have a performance high enough.
Yeah.
Whereas if everyone's around the same level as me, then you'd need to have a very strong score.
How did you get into chess?
How did I get into chess? Good question. I don't know. I think it just naturally appealed to me.
Okay.
And yeah, so when I was young, we didn't really have video games at home, but then we got a computer, and basically the challenge was to convince my mum to buy me actual computer games. And it would have been difficult to convince her to buy some kind of, you know, fighting game or shooting game. But if I go, hey, chess, that's educational, can you buy that one?
But in French.
No, yeah, it was in English.
It was in English.
Chess Master 6,000 or 9,000 or something. if you know, if anyone is familiar with chess and remembers the old Chess Master games, that was my entrance into chess.
What does the 6,000 stand for?
Who knows?
I feel like they just put it there to sound cool. So it was your first kind of chess game?
Yeah.
Okay,
And first,
okay.
I mean, I think I'd maybe played the odd game of chess with friends at school, but you know, not really got into it. But I definitely remember getting this computer game, Chess Master, and it had like this really old guy with a beard on the front of the box that obviously, you know, is your stereotypical wise grandmaster.
Yeah, because that's how Magnus looks, right? Basically.
But yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, I remember at the very start, I didn't really know the rules. So I was playing against the easiest level on Chess Master, and I would get the computer into a position where I've taken all their pieces and I've still got a bunch of pieces. And then I figured out, you know, surround the king, and then it would be a stalemate. And I assumed, stalemate, that means I've won, right? And then I remember, you know, telling my dad, look, you know, I can beat this game, and getting them into stalemate. And my dad was like, isn't stalemate a draw?
How does stalemate happen?
So the most common way it happens is, I mean, so the rule is that if someone has no legal moves, but they're not in checkmate, then it's a stalemate. So often it'll be if they've just got their king left and you've completely surrounded it, so it can't move anywhere, because anywhere it moves you would be able to capture it, but it's not in check, so then it's not a checkmate. Then that's a stalemate.
That's such a weird rule, because if you can't move anywhere, that's it, baby, you lost.
It's funny you say that, because there are some prominent chess players that do believe that stalemate should be a win or a loss for the side that can't move, and a win for the other player.
What would you say to that?
Oh, I don't know.
That makes sense to me, like intuitively at least. But this is coming from a non-zero chess player, non-chess player.
I mean, I quite like the rules as they are, just because it could lead to some beautiful combinations to draw the game when you're in a desperate situation to force a stalemate.
That's true.
So that's nice, but would you open up a different set of awesome things to, awesome patterns or sequences to, I don't know.
I think
it's difficult to say without having played with those rules.
Right, because chess is like recreating a war situation, right? Just I'm thinking in terms of that, like, so there's like only the king left, or maybe like a one town left or something. Then this one gigantic empire with huge army needs to, get. But maybe that because it's like the surface area that needs to be covered is small, maybe that one town becomes super good at defending. So, maybe these huge army, they attack but without success. And this town can't come out because they will all be killed if they do. So maybe it makes like sense in that sense,
I cannot say that I've thought about it from that perspective.
Oh, really? I've heard this, right? I don't know if it's true, but I've heard that some people, when they think, they don't picture things. They think in terms of words. So if I say, oh, Clément, picture this, right? It's a funny story. I went to a store and I tripped over this bag of snacks and then I fell down. Do you play a movie of that in your head?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? Okay. Yeah. Now, because I had a friend who told me that, because I heard that and I asked a friend and he was like, yeah, he doesn't play a movie in his head when he hears that. He has to try to make a movie out of that. He just process the information just like that.
Just as information.
Just as it is, which is, different from what I imagine. But yeah, true. You haven't thought about it that way. But I think in terms of entertainment, the stalemate would make sense because you have a chance to do something other than losing.
Yeah, and it's especially at beginner levels of chess, it's a very important thing to watch out for, to not accidentally stalemate your opponent when you're winning, because it can be very easy to not pay attention and run them out of moves.
What's the situation with Hans Niemann now?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
because there was some court case, but I don't know what the outcome of the court case was. Yeah, I'm not. Maybe did they settle? I'm not sure.
I feel like I did see it was again on YouTube with thumbnail and the title is said the Hans Niemann case has been finished.
Okay.
Yeah, but I didn't click on it.
But I did just see the other day, there's some, maybe even yesterday or the day before, where Magnus Carlsen has basically accused someone else of cheating and complaining on X, formerly Twitter, that his opponent was wearing a watch during the game and sort of basically hinting at that as being suspicious after losing the game in reasonably convincing fashion.
That Magnus lost. Magnus being the GOAT, well, considered the GOAT by a lot of chess players, including you, right?
Yeah.
There must be some sort of points to that, right? That he wouldn't say that out of nowhere. He wouldn't say that out of saltiness, would he?
I don't know. It sounds a bit salty to me if you don't have concrete evidence, sort of saying, oh, well played to my opponent, who obviously played a great game. However, people shouldn't be wearing a watch at the board. And it sounds a bit like sour grapes to me if you don't have any actual evidence.
But he's saying that the watch has been altered in a way that somehow helped the game, right?
I can't remember the exact wording, but no, I don't think he has any evidence to that effect. And I think it wasn't a digital watch or anything.
Yeah.
Just a regular analog watch. I think you can't just baselessly accuse people of cheating, because then it's not going to be a very good situation for anyone.
Yeah, especially with someone who's got the large voice like
exactly, because as the Hans Niemann case or lawsuit, he's definitely got Hans Niemann's definitely got a point that if the best player of all time and multiple time world champion is saying you're cheating and won't play in a tournament that you're also playing in, it's limiting your potential invitations to tournaments and affecting your livelihood and your development as a player.
Do you have to get invited to tournaments?
At the highest level, many tournaments are invitationals. There are also tournaments, for example, the whole World Championship cycle is completely based on merit. So you can, in theory, you can qualify no matter how good you are. So in theory, there is a path for me or you to enter a tournament and after multiple stages progress and become the world champion. But the majority of tournaments are at the highest level are invitational.
Yeah. Have you been invited to any of the international tournaments?
I have. Yeah, I've been invited to a couple of sort of closed tournaments, mainly in Scotland, which is where I grew up and played the majority of my chess. But most of the tournaments that I've played in, even if they're international tournaments, would be open tournaments, open fields.
Oh, what's the difference between open and closed?
So open, anyone can enter,
right?
Whereas closed, and they'll open tournaments will normally be a much bigger field, 50 to potentially up to 200, 300 players all in the same tournament, whereas a closed tournament is often 10 players or 10 is the most common number of players for a closed tournament. Then you play all your opponents once, and then you play 9 games, which is the most common tournament length.
How long does that run over for?
It'll be normally either 1 week or 9 full days. So either 9 full days with one game per day, or a week where a couple of days you'll play 2 games on them and the others 1.
Do you get nervous?
Yeah. Or I definitely used to get nervous, yeah.
Yeah, but they wouldn't help you think clearly, right? Like nervousness wouldn't help, right?
I think it's got pros and cons. It's good to be, have a bit of nervousness to be invested, and really want to do the best possible. Like if you just don't care at all, you're probably not gonna give the game the full attention, and maybe move too fast, not fully think something through and make a mistake. But yeah, of course, if you're too nervous, then that can have a negative impact as well.
That if it runs over like for 9 days, like a 10 people close tournament like that, do you is your focus mainly on the chess? Because I feel like, man, I'm just thinking like doing a full-time job and playing that would be a hectic schedule for 9 days.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be working as well. So yeah, hence why it's difficult when you're holding a full-time job. I mean, there are people that do it and they'll use up all their annual leave to play in tournaments. But yeah, that's probably one of the big reasons that I'm not playing anymore, because I'd rather use my holidays to do other things.
Yeah, that's tough. Like 9 days is a big commitment.
Definitely, because so you'll be playing the game itself, which might last 2.5 hours, probably at the minimum, up to maybe 5 hours, and sometimes longer.
But it's timed, right?
It's timed.
It's timed. So does it still take that long?
Yeah.
Oh, because you play several games, right? Is that how it
No,
works?
just talking about one game.
Just
here.
one game.
Yeah.
How long? How come? Because what's the time limit for each person?
So depends on the tournament, but often can be like up to 3.5 hours each.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So especially like those there are different timings at different tournaments, but the slowest form you can get up to 7-hour games, potentially longer.
Far out. It's crazy.
Generally doesn't go, like most games will be over in 3 to 5 hours, I'd say. 3 to 4.5.
But the amount of focus that goes in that.
You can be pretty frazzled by the end of it.
A couple of hours, you're paying attention to how many pieces there are in chess, and the mind games too. Oh my days.
And so but then as well as playing the game, games will often be in the afternoon if there's one game a day, and then in the morning you will be preparing for your opponent.
Well, what does a preparation look like?
It's normally focused on opening preparation, so figuring out what the first 10 to 20 moves of the game are going to look like, based on researching what your opponent's done in the past, what you think their strengths and weaknesses are, and trying to take them into some territory that might be more familiar to you and less familiar to them, or playing more to your strengths and less to their strengths.
Is it pretty easy to do? Like finding that data online?
Yeah, so serious chess players will have a database on their laptop with all the games that have been played, and you can regularly update it with all the new games. This may have moved on since I've played chess seriously. Like maybe there's some website to do it nowadays that I used. When I was doing it, it was a program called ChessBase that everyone used.
Okay.
And but maybe this. I mean, there was stuff online back in the day, but they weren't as good as using the ChessBase app. But maybe that's evolved since I've played seriously. That would be interesting to know.
So, as a player, would you have to upload your own game how the games went?
No, so normally it would be the tournament that you're playing in.
Right.
So during the game, you and your opponent have to record how the game develops, and then the tournament would upload the game to the online databases. Generally, if you had the option, you would want to try and hide all your games so that nobody else can see what strategies you're doing.
Yeah, and for by the way, if you are feel like some flavored water, go hard on this, Clément. Got some beautiful glass of vitamin water. Can I get the mixed berry one?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Hashtag ad.
Hashtag ad. Is it like is it just the morning of the game that you play that you do that? Prepping for against the opponent?
Yeah, generally. And the reason for that is, yeah, if you were playing in theory, if you were playing a closed tournament and you knew who all your opponents are gonna be, then you can do some preparation in advance. But in the more common case, at least for me, in an open tournament, you only find out who you're playing late in the evening of a game, and then you normally wouldn't have time to prepare at that time. The pairings for the next day might come out at 9 p.m., 10 p.m. So you'll check them before you go to bed and worry about it when you're trying to get to sleep. But then you'll only actually start preparing in the morning.
It's a full-time job.
Pretty much.
It is preparing for that, because that's one of the things I found out recently that people. I mean, looking back, it kind of makes sense. But I was listening to a podcast on Hikaru. What's his name? Hikaru Nakamura with Lex Friedman, and that's when I heard like prepping for an opponent. Yeah, like looking back, it makes sense. But that's when I first heard about prepping for that. It makes sense though. It's a strategy game.
Yeah. And then at the very highest levels, for example, when they're playing a world championship match. So, I mean, the most recent one was between Jan Nepomniachtchi and Ding Liren, who are not probably not household names, but the previous one between Magnus Carlsen and Jan Nepomniachtchi. The players themselves are not going to be the ones doing the bulk of the preparation. They will have a team of, they call them seconds, and it will be that team that does 95% of the preparation for the player. And so it might be two or three other very strong grandmasters, like elite level grandmasters, that are doing all of that preparation work each day, and then just transferring the knowledge to the player in time for the game.
So would it usually like, oh, this player likes to do this opening, and they're not very good at this situations, they're quite strong in these situations and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, at that very top level, it's a bit different because the players tend not to have glaring weaknesses, same way people at my level might. But so it'll normally be trying to find a specific idea in an opening theory variation that might catch the opponent out and force them to have to solve difficult problems over the board in a limited time, and probably 80% of the time they will solve the problems, and then the game will end in a draw. But yeah, at that point you're just trying to find some small idea or some small nuance that the opponent might not have seen before, and try and get a small advantage, or try and find a situation where you're playing risk-free, where it might be a draw 80-90% of the time, but there's no chance you're ever going to lose, so then you're just hoping for that 10% chance that your opponent trips up.
Do you have a favorite opening?
Favorite opening? My favorite opening used to be something called the Dragon.
The Dragon!
It's got quite a cool name.
That's a really cool name. What does that involve?
So it's a sub opening of another opening called the Sicilian Defense. But yeah, it's generally leads to quite aggressive situations where both sides are attacking each other at the same time, and can lead to some pretty wild games.
What piece was the first piece that you move with that opening?
A pawn.
A pawn.
Yeah, most openings start with. I mean, because your only moves at the very start on the very first move is a pawn or a knight. But yeah, most openings start with a pawn move.
I heard this question recently at a pub quiz. What's the least number of moves you can make before checkmating someone?
So two moves each is the fastest way. If white makes a specific move, and then black plays a reasonably obvious move, and then white makes another specific, at that point, very terrible move, and then black can swoop in for a checkmate.
That's correct. Yeah, 2 moves. That's crazy.
It's got a name. It's called Fool's Mate.
Fool's Mate,
because only a fool would play into it.
It's with the queen, right? Do you use the queen?
Yeah. For black, you swoop in with the queen. If white makes these two, pretty bad moves. In a row.
It sounds like you deserve to lose at that point. So, we kind of got sidetracked with the chess talk here, but so after your uni, you wanted to learn some software engineering. You got into the IT grad program.
Yeah.
And you enjoyed that. Sounds like you enjoyed the whole process.
Yeah, definitely.
And when did you start becoming a bit more data oriented?
Yeah, so after the grad scheme, there was an opportunity, so still at the John Lewis partnership, where a new data science team just started up, basically. So I was the very first member of the data science team, because I joined one day before my boss.
Of the John Lewis partnerships.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And that was a cool experience because, so it was sort of making a change back to more a little bit what I'd been studying at uni, but now armed with all this software engineering knowledge, which I think was definitely beneficial. But yeah, we started out as a small team of 3 people, and I left 1 year later. But at that time, the team, we were already 8 or 10.
Doubled over a year.
Yeah, more than doubled over a year. And my understanding is that since then, that team has just continued growing. I think they might be 25, 30 people strong data science team at this stage.
Damn, you're the first one. That's cool. Yeah, and so in that team, was it mainly data engineering that you did?
No, it was mainly data science.
Data science, okay.
Yeah, so machine learning or operation research, statistical type models. Yeah.
Then from that, how did you get out of the dark side?
So then went through a completely different point of my life where I quit my job and went traveling.
Oh, so that was the point.
Yeah,
that was the point when you came over to eventually to New Zealand, right?
Yeah. So I just got on a flight to one-way ticket to Australia.
Okay.
And didn't really have any firm plans. Stayed in Australia for 2 months.
Traveling
And
working.
Climbing. No working.
No working.
No working at that stage. But then I applied for a working holiday visa in New Zealand, and I've been here ever since.
What were you running away from when you left Scotland?
I don't know. So good question.
Or what were you running towards when you were heading to Australia?
Yeah, tough question. I don't know. Yeah, just wanted to change something up a little bit.
Because that's a big decision, quitting your job. That's a big decision in itself. But going overseas too? I'm guessing you didn't know anyone in Australia?
Yeah, I think part of it was that I'd never been outside of Europe before, and I
Right.
thought, if I want to explore some different parts of the world, now's maybe the time to do it, because, as you get older, you generally a little bit more difficult to do those things. Now I can't imagine just packing up and going to the other side of the world.
That's true. But was it a tough decision at all to do that or not?
Nah, I didn't see it as very risky or anything at that point. I think just because the data and software IT industries, and all of those, I couldn't imagine them going away anytime soon. Or I think there's always a need for people with those kinds of skills. So I thought, even if I take some time as a career break / sabbatical, there's always going to be an opportunity.
That's true. And
to
you're
come
right.
back.
You're right.
Yeah.
And you're traveling in Australia. Was it mainly just traveling around and staying at like Airbnb or backpackers?
Yeah, more backpackers.
Backpackers
yeah.
and sightseeing and different cities.
Yeah, and then a lot of climbing.
A lot of climbing. Australia is pretty good for that, right?
It's really good, yeah.
And then what made you, I guess New Zealand, do you think, it's close enough, I'll try out there? Or was it always a plan?
That was basically the rationale. I wasn't intending when I first went out to Australia, but then I thought, New Zealand's quite close, I should probably pay a visit.
Yeah.
At that point, I thought I need to maybe get a bit of money, which was why I applied for the working holiday visa and did a few random jobs. But then, that was when COVID happened, and probably wasn't intending to stay in New Zealand for as long as I did. I think originally it was, let's do this 1 year working holiday and then see what happens. But halfway through it, COVID happened and got locked down, and that's when I met my wife as well. So
what year did you start traveling?
2019.
2019. And then you're in Australia for how long?
2 months.
2 months. Okay.
Yeah. And then I came to New Zealand in basically start of July, I think, of 2019.
2019. Did you have an idea how long you might be away for when you left Scotland?
No. Didn't really have any plans.
Might be a year, 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, just wanted to see what happens.
Do you feel like you're still traveling?
No.
Yeah.
Now I would say I'm not traveling anymore.
Now you feel settled.
Yeah, reasonably settled. Yeah.
That's crazy that the decision to move to New Zealand, that changed a lot of things for you going forward from there. You met your wife, I guess would have been a big point.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Changed my life in many ways.
Yeah. Was it because you knew because when you met your wife, you're already traveling. You're traveling that time. Was it a tough decision to kind of commit to that relationship?
Interesting question. I need to be careful what I say here. Right?
But back then,
like at the start of the relationship, I definitely didn't know what where it was gonna lead or what was gonna happen. But No.
So you're kind of going
No,
with the flow.
Progressed a lot since then.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That you have progressed a lot. What were you like as a kid?
Well, as a kid, I was quite shy. I quite introverted, I guess, as well. Still haven't that hasn't changed. I remember I used to just play a lot, like make up my own random games and just play all day whatever game I've come up with.
Yeah. So what they would be like?
Often with a football or something, trying to kick over some garden chairs, or
Okay.
just keeping myself amused.
Yeah. So you're shy. You have like all these games going on. What else? Were you into, like, could you see what you like, things you like now, things you're into? Could you see some similarities when you were a kid? Like, things you were into back then?
Yeah, I was always interested in games, and so I think chess was probably quite a natural thing for me to pick up. But yeah, I was also, I can see why I'm climbing now. I used to love climbing trees or climbing rocks. So yeah, that's definitely logical as well.
Interesting, you went with chess rather than like some video games or something.
Yeah, I think probably due to not having video games growing up. I think if I had done, maybe that would have been the route that I'd gone down.
Yeah. Do you have, because we talked about, well, we kind of didn't. Who's your favorite data engineer? Do you have a favorite data engineer?
Favorite data engineer? I don't know. Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, there's a sort of people that we've talked about earlier.
Yeah.
In the conversation, but I'm not sure if you would categorize them as data engineers or more, people that influence the field very heavily. But
true.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that guy Max Boschema would probably consider himself a data engineer, but he might consider himself a software engineer. I'm not sure, because I think a lot of data engineers work in companies and don't become famous people.
That's true.
So yeah, difficult to pick someone out.
But he would be your kind of your favorite software person, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's not that many people to choose from.
But there are like other CEOs. I guess in some ways you could count Elon Musk as one,
as a data engineer,
as a more of a software person who develops like a software solutions or technology solutions.
Yeah, but I think the set of skills you need to be an effective CEO or leader of a tech company is very different than being someone that is more on the ground, writing code or talking to stakeholders all day.
That's true. Yeah, I heard a lot of people consider John Carmack as one of the goats when it comes to like as a developer, at least.
Yeah, and don't know a ton about John. Yeah, I've heard of him, but don't know that much about him. Like, I think I'm sure I've read some stuff on his website before. So there's a really good website called Hacker News.
Okay.
That is it's basically like Reddit, but only for originally it was. I mean, it's sort of software people that go there, and a lot of startup people that go there as well. But it's if there's an influential software engineering type article, then it will normally end up on Hacker News. So I think I've read a few things on his website that have come up on there, but I couldn't. There's nothing that I would pick out in particular.
It's hard to kind of know and appreciate fully what they do without being in the industry and really having had to go yourself. Right? Like John Carmack, for example, the main thing he does is game development.
Yeah, game development and like virtual reality as well, possibly. Yeah, so it's kind of a different set of software engineering than what I've mostly been involved in, because I'm dealing a lot with sort of graphics and all the linear algebra type software engineering problems that come with those, which is not something that I've ever really looked at. So yeah, like within software engineering, there's all these sub fields that you can go into. Like, that's one of them. Something like cryptography is completely different, but still within software. Well, yeah. Would you consider cryptography to be software engineering? Maybe it's more like computer science or maths. But yeah, you know what I mean. There's all these subfields that are quite different from each other. And designing a website again is not something that I've ever gone super deep on, and but data analytics is another one, which is sort of what I've specialized in.
Does like the web dev and game dev interest you?
I'd say it interests me, but there's only so many hours in a day and things that you can dive deep into. So,
is it easy for you to rank the things that you like and just do them?
No, I find that there's so many things that I want to do, want to learn, whether that's more professional skills, but also within the sports and hobbies that I take part in. I want to do way more than I have time for, and it's really difficult to choose between them and really have maybe something I should do more is properly sit down and figure out how I should prioritize things, because at the moment it's a little bit ad hoc. And then, of course, on top of all those like more personal things, now obviously there's all the family aspects, which is hugely important as well, to devote a lot of time to.
How would you rank that if you were to sit down now and figure out what matters to you? So family would be an obvious one, but outside that, say like climbing, which you're obviously into, but we talked about game dev and web dev as well as like Python things and I definitely can't answer that off the top of my head, because if I knew the answer to it, then I would prioritize my time better rather than just doing, ooh, this looks interesting, let's do this today. But maybe that's the way to go. Maybe like whatever we do without really thinking about it is what we like best. End up doing that anyway.
What I know for sure is that I want to have a good variety of the different aspects. So, I want to spend a lot of time with my wife and my daughter, but I definitely also need to do some personal things, and probably, you know, at least one brain related type thing and one physical activity type thing. And so I think those three ingredients, if I'm, you know, if I'm not, if I was missing one of those in a week, then I you know wouldn't I wouldn't be you know, fully satisfied, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. I read someone said it's a lot to do with identity. Someone said this person is just a game development person I saw on YouTube, and he was saying he prioritized things based on like his identity. So for him, he identifies as someone who has a full-time job as a software engineer and likes to spend time with his family as well as keeping physically fit and engaged. And he does this game development on the side, and that's his free time / like a YouTube pursuit. And that I thought that was interesting. I never thought of it like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like for me right at this moment, so, you know, family obviously is, you know, a big thing that I'm, you know, spending time on, and then work as well. And for me at the moment, work is mainly satisfying that, you know, brain related aspect that I mentioned. So then outside of family and work, the thing that I am trying to prioritize is climbing to get that physical element in my life, rather than, you know, adding something extra into the brain department, which would be so easy to do because there's so many brain related things that I would like to do. You know, if I had unlimited time, I probably would still play chess and spend all this time learning about interesting technical subjects and, you know, working on some side project or something like that. But at the moment, it's much more important that I've got that physical activity. So that's sort of what I'm prioritizing to add to the family and work mix.
Do you have a favorite chess player?
Favorite chess player? Current or historical?
I would say all time.
All time?
Yeah.
And then in terms of pure like chess games, or include like what I think of them as a person?
I would
as
say
well.
Overall.
Not off the top of my head. Like pure chess style, I think Magnus Carlsen. But yeah, so some of the more recent stuff I'm not a huge fan of. You know, like the cheating accusations. But also he's, you know, he's quite arrogant, so he's not, you know, not necessarily the most likable person in the world. I mean, you know, maybe justifiably arrogant, but some people manage to be, you know, elite at what they do, but are still super humble, and you know, I don't think Magnus is that. And yeah, you know, maybe Peter Svidler. He's a Russian player, and he's, you know, maybe one of the most likable chess players, as well as being incredibly strong.
Is he like top 10?
He used to be top 10. He wouldn't be now. He's probably pretty much retired from the highest levels of play. No, yeah, I'm sure. No, he'll still play some elite level tournaments, but yeah, he's not at his peak anymore.
So you get, I mean, kind of obvious question if you think about it, but at the same time, so you do peak at some point and then you decline from there?
Yeah.
What do you reckon that is?
What age or
Oh,
why?
why do you reckon that is?
Because I think your brain does deteriorate over time. Because you can see it in
Damn.
other disciplines like mathematics, right? A lot of the um, most brilliant mathematicians or theorems in mathematics get proved by really young people. I don't know if that's something that you follow much, but yeah, it's I think your brain does decline over time, but also as we were talking about with chess tournaments often being these marathons over
True.
multiple weeks, it's even though you're just it's you're using your brain, it's very your physical ability to to maintain that over 2 weeks is
That's true.
so most of the top players take their physical training very seriously, because the two your physical level impacts the ability for your brain to keep operating at a high level under high levels of stress over long periods of time.
With the increasing implementation of AI in, say, training for chess and getting better at it, and also like the likes of AlphaGo beating like the world champion of in the game Go, do you think chess can ever be solved?
I mean, ever is a difficult question. I don't think it would be solved soon, and the new approaches with the Alpha Zero for chess or AlphaGo for Go, like they're not attempting to solve the game, and they're approaching it from a different direction than what people were doing back in the day, in that it's trying to it operates more like a human being, and that it's learning the key information of what's important in different positions, rather than trying to brute force solve the game from scratch, if that makes sense.
It sounds like you believe in the existence of a solution, though.
I mean, of course, like there's a mathematical solution to the game, because it's a game of complete information. It's just that the complexity of it is so large, given the total number of possible positions that exist, that is it can you get to that stage? And I don't know what the impact of all the quantum computing has on that ability or not. I don't know. I pretty much don't know anything about quantum computing, except that it's gonna provide the ability to solve problems that today are very difficult. But in terms of the impact on human beings playing chess, I think it for chess specifically, it's not having the Alpha Zero isn't that big of a change compared to what we had before, because it's already been a very long time in chess that the best computers were so much better than the best humans anyway. So the fact that the deep learning based chess engines are better than the old style engines that were just brute force calculating everything, it's on a sphere that's much higher than any human has ever been. So it doesn't have as big an impact, although I think you can learn different types of things from these newer engines compared to the old ones. but yeah, just purely as a training tool.
Do you have a favorite climber?
Favorite climber?
We're touching on all the subject that you're interested.
Favorite climber? Yeah, I really like Aidan Roberts, who actually has a podcast of his own that I'm
That's cool.
regular listener of. I listen to every single episode.
Shout out Aidan Robert.
So he's an English climber, and he's climbed some of the hardest boulders in the world of outdoor rock climbing. So he doesn't, in climbing there's this weird thing where there's indoor climbing, and at the highest levels that becomes competition climbing, where you're climbing on man-made holds, but then obviously there's outdoor climbing, rock climbing, and so Aidan Roberts, he did some competition climbing when he was younger, but now he's mainly a outdoor rock climber. So he's climbed some of the hardest outdoor climbs in the world. But yeah, the main reason I'd say he's my favorite climber is not just because of that. It's also like understanding how he thinks and his values, like through listening to the podcast. Like he's very focused on sustainability, and how climbers can have a good impact on the outdoor environment. But yeah, I just like the way he thinks. Basically.
Is he on YouTube?
Is he on YouTube? There will be videos of him climbing on YouTube for sure. I don't know if they put their podcast up on YouTube or not.
Makes sense. Well, Clément, it's been an honor. You're my manager in my last work, and yeah, I think in the work settings, you're someone who I looked up to a lot. Whether when it came to like technical things, I knew I could always rely on you, and you knew all these like. I remember this with this Databricks. You go onto this clicking very specific buttons. You end up in this graph of some sort, and I was like, how do you even find this? I still remember that, and I think it's been really cool seeing you so passionate about data engineering, and I think that I definitely got heavy influence of that, and it was great seeing someone that passionate about it, and I think you're a really good leader too, so I've always wanted to have you on, and I think maybe just like you have your favorite climber, and I think there are a lot of qualities of yours that I've noticed that I look up to a lot. So thank you for that. Thank you for your kindness. Thank you for your time here. I appreciate you. I know you have a beautiful baby and a beautiful wife to get back to. So while I would love to take more of your time, but I can't take it away from your family, It hurts me too much. But yeah, I appreciate you, Clément. Before my final question, is there anything else that you would like to get anything out there? Do you have a climbing podcast? Do you want to create a climbing podcast, Clément? Do you have a data engineering podcast? Is there anything else you want to throw out there?
Yeah, not really. Yeah, I think yeah, we've covered a good range of things today, but yeah, just want to say thanks to you, Pascal, for having me on the podcast. I was very honored that you invited me on. I remember when you mentioned it, I didn't expect it at all, that you'd want to hear what I had to say.
Oh.
But yeah, thanks thanks for bringing me on. And yeah, it's been I've just really enjoyed, podcast or not, it's just been really great having a chat with an old friend. And yeah.
Yes, sir. My pleasure. It's been awesome having you. And my final question, Clément, what gets you up in the morning?
Susie crying.
That's a great answer. Yeah. Yes, sir. Well, thank you for that. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Pascal.
Thank you.
It's been great.
It's been great. See you, everyone. Bye.
See ya.